Have you ever stopped to wonder why some women always seem out of your league? Why, no matter how hard you try, the game of attraction feels like an impossible code to crack? I'm going to tell you something that will completely change your perspective. There's one single thing, an age-old principle hidden in Stoic teachings, that when applied correctly transforms any man into a magnet for female attraction. I'm not talking about cheap tricks or manipulative tactics. I'm talking about a profound transformation that starts from the inside out and will make you become the kind of man women naturally desire. Get ready, because what you're about to discover goes against everything you've learned about attraction until today. First, let's shatter some illusions. Most men believe that attraction is about what you do, about the right pickup lines, expensive gifts, exaggerated displays of interest. That's a lie. True attraction is about who you are when no one is looking. It's about the energy you radiate when you walk into a room. It's about the unshakable composure you maintain even when everything around you is chaotic. The Stoics knew this over 2,000 years ago. They understood that the true power of attraction doesn't come from outside but from within. It doesn't come from what you possess, but from what you are. Picture the scene. You walk into a bustling bar. The music is loud. The lights are flashing, groups of people are chatting animatedly. In the past, you'd feel those butterflies in your stomach, that anxiety of having to impress, of having to do something to get attention. But now it's different. You walk in with a solid presence, a calm that doesn't depend on anything external. You're not there to win anyone over, you're there because you chose to be. This subtle shift in mindset changes absolutely everything. Women sense it. They notice when a man is complete in himself, when he doesn't need them to feel whole. But how do you reach that level? How do you develop this magnetic presence that attracts effortlessly? The answer lies in a fundamental Stoic concept that few truly understand: internal control versus external control. You don't control whether she'll give you attention. You don't control whether she'll reply to your texts. You don't control her feelings, but you completely control how you react to all of it. You control your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and when you master this internal control, something magical happens. You stop needing the outcome, and when you stop needing, you become irresistible. Let me be more specific. Most men operate from a place of scarcity. They act as if that woman is the last on the planet, as if losing that opportunity means being alone forever. This scarcity mindset is repulsive. It makes you act desperate, needy, clingy. Women sense that from a mile away. It's like a red alarm flashing on your forehead saying, "I need you to feel complete." Nobody wants that responsibility. Nobody wants to be the center of someone else's universe. It's too heavy, too suffocating. Now, the man who operates from a place of abundance is completely different. He knows there are billions of women in the world. He knows that compatibility is about finding someone who fits into the life he's already built, not about changing his entire existence to please someone. He approaches interactions with lightness, with fun, without that pressure for things to work out. And paradoxically, it's exactly this lightness that makes everything work out. It's as if the universe conspires in favor of those who don't need. Your second crucial point: emotional self-sufficiency. This is probably the most misunderstood aspect of masculine attraction. Men are taught from a young age that they need a woman to be complete, that without a partner, they're just half of I. Something nonsense, absolute nonsense. Her complete man is one who has built a life he's proud of, regardless of whether he has someone by his side or not. He has his projects, his passions, his goals. He wakes up in the morning with a purpose that goes far beyond impressing women. Think about how you spend your days. How many of your decisions are made thinking about how they'll affect your chances with women? How many times do you stop yourself from doing something you want because it might not seem attractive? How many times do you do something you don't want just to try to impress? Every time you do that, you're subconsciously communicating that you're not enough as you are, that you need gimmicks, masks, personas to be accepted. And nothing is less attractive than a man who doesn't accept himself. The Stoic man does the opposite. He builds his life based on his own values, his own desires, his own worldview. He doesn't ask, "Will this make me look cool?" He asks, "Is this aligned with who I am and where I want to go?" When you live this way, you develop an authenticity that is magnetic. People, not just women, but people in general, are drawn to those who know who they are and where they're going. I'm going to share something few understand about female attraction. Women aren't attracted to men who put them on pedestals. They're attracted to men who have their own pedestals. Men who have built something, who represent something, who stand for something. When you have a mission in life that's bigger than just getting women, you become the type of man that women naturally admire and desire to be part of the journey. But here's the trick. This can't be faked. You can't just act like you have a mission. You need to actually have one. You need to find something that drives you, that inspires you, that makes you jump out of bed with energy. It could be building a business, mastering an art, contributing to a cause. What matters is that it's real, that it's yours, that it's something you'd be willing to fight for, even if there were no women in the world. Before we continue, if you're finding this content valuable, if you're having insights you've never had before, hit that like button now. Comment below what the biggest mistake you've ever made trying to impress a woman was, and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is even more powerful. Third fundamental aspect, the art of non-reactivity. This is a superpower few men develop, the ability not to react emotionally to the tests, the provocations, the emotional games that inevitably arise in any romantic interaction. See, women test. It's not malice, it's not conscious manipulation. It's an evolutionary mechanism to filter out weak men from strong men. She needs to know if you're emotionally stable, if you can keep your cool under pressure, if you're the kind of man she can rely on in difficult times. When she takes a long time to reply to your texts, when she mentions other men, when she disagrees with you about something, when she has mood swings. All of these are opportunities for you to demonstrate your emotional strength. The average man reacts. He gets anxious, jealous, defensive. He questions, demands, pressures. Each of these reactions communicates weakness, insecurity, lack of emotional control. It's as if you're saying, "I don't trust myself enough to handle this maturely." The Stoic man responds instead of reacting. There's a fundamental difference between the two. Reacting is automatic, emotional, impulsive. Responding is conscious, rational, strategic. When she takes a long time to reply, he simply continues, living his life. When she mentions other men, he demonstrates genuine security, perhaps even makes a light joke about it. When she disagrees, he listens carefully, considers her point of view, and calmly maintains his stance if he still believes in it. This non-reactivity communicates something powerful. It says you're a grounded man, that you're not easily shaken, that you have control over your emotions. And in the chaotic world we live in, where most people are slaves to their emotional reactions, a man who maintains his calm in the midst of the storm stands out like a beacon. It's impossible not to be attracted to that strength. But pay attention. Non-reactivity doesn't mean being an emotionless robot. It doesn't mean agreeing with everything or letting disrespectful behaviors slide. It means choosing your battles wisely. It means expressing your emotions in a mature and controlled way. It means setting clear boundaries without drama or emotional outbursts. It's about being water, not stone, flexible but impossible to break. Fourth essential element, the ability to be genuinely present. We live in an era of constant distractions. Cell phones, social media, 1,000 things competing for our attention every second. Most men are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. They're with her but thinking about what they'll say next, checking their phone, worried about the impression they're making. This lack of presence is felt and is profoundly unattractive. When you're with a woman, be completely present. Look into her eyes when she speaks. Don't just look, but truly see. Listen not just to the words, but to the tone, the emotion behind them. Notice the small details, the way she plays with her hair when she's nervous, the sparkle in her eyes when she talks about something she loves, the way she tilts her head when she's truly interested in what you're saying. This complete presence is rare and powerful. It communicates that you value her enough to give her your total attention, that you're not in a rush to go somewhere else, that this moment, here and now, is important to you. In a world where everyone is always rushing to the next appointment, always checking their phone, always divided between 1,000 things, a man who can be truly present is like an oasis in the desert. But presence goes beyond just paying attention. It's about being comfortable with silences. It's about not feeling the need to fill every pause with words. It's about allowing the connection to develop organically, without forcing, without rushing. Many men talk too much out of nervousness. They feel they need to entertain, impress, keep the conversation flowing at all costs. This communicates anxiety, a need for approval. The present man speaks when he has something valuable to say. He asks questions because he's genuinely curious, not because he read somewhere that asking questions is good. He shares stories because they're relevant, not because he wants to show off. He allows moments of silence to exist without discomfort, knowing that sometimes the best connections happen in the spaces between words. Now comes the part few are prepared to hear: strategic vulnerability. There's a myth that men need to be impenetrable fortresses, that showing any weakness is fatal to attraction. This is partially true and partially false. Showing weakness in an uncontrolled, whiny, victimizing way truly kills attraction. But showing vulnerability in a controlled, mature, strategic way increases attraction exponentially. What's the difference? Weakness is when you dump your problems expecting her to solve them. It's when you use your difficulties as an excuse for your failures. It's when you seek her to play the role of a mother, not a partner. Vulnerability is when you share your challenges as someone who is actively working to overcome them. It's when you show that you're human without losing your fundamental strength. For example, talking about a fear you've overcome shows courage. Sharing a past mistake and the lesson you learned from it shows growth. Admitting you don't know something and being willing to learn shows humility and confidence. These controlled demonstrations of vulnerability create deep emotional connection because they show that you're real, that you're not just a facade trying to impress. But timing is crucial. You don't dump your life story on the first date. You don't share your deepest insecurities with someone who hasn't yet earned your trust. Vulnerability is a powerful tool that should be used wisely, not an open faucet gushing uncontrolled emotions. Fifth, revolutionary aspect, the philosophy of detachment from the outcome. This is perhaps the hardest concept to internalize, but also the most transformative. Most men approach every interaction with women with a specific objective in mind: getting her number, setting up a date, taking her to bed. This fixation on the outcome creates an energy of neediness that is instantly perceived and rejected. The Stoic man approaches interactions without attachment to the outcome. He's open to what might happen, but doesn't need anything specific to happen. He can talk to a beautiful woman and genuinely not care if he'll see her again or not. Not because he doesn't find her attractive, but because his happiness and sense of worth don't depend on her validation. This creates a fascinating paradox. The less you need a specific outcome, the more likely you are to get it. When you're not desperate for a yes, you become much more attractive. When you can accept a no with grace and move on without drama, you demonstrate an emotional strength that few people possess. Think about how this changes the entire dynamic. When you're not attached to the outcome, you can be completely authentic. You can say what you really think without fear of ruining your chances. You can set clear boundaries without fear of losing her. You can be yourself without filters because you're not trying to manipulate a specific response. This unfiltered authenticity is incredibly attractive. Women are tired of men who say what they think women want to hear, of men who change their personality trying to please, of men who agree with everything for fear of creating conflict. When you can disagree respectfully, when you can maintain your opinions even if they're unpopular, when you can be yourself without apologizing, you stand out in a sea of generic men trying to please. But let me be clear about something. Detachment from the outcome doesn't mean not caring about anything. It doesn't mean being apathetic or indifferent. It means caring about the right things. Caring more about your integrity than getting a date. Caring more about finding someone compatible than just getting someone. Caring more about building real connections than accumulating empty conquests. I will now reveal the final secret, the element that ties everything together: transcendent purpose. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, tossed back and forth by the waves. A man with purpose is like a mountain, unmoving regardless of the storms around it. Women are biologically programmed to be attracted to men with direction, with a mission, with something bigger driving their lives. Your purpose doesn't have to be saving the world. It doesn't have to be grand in the eyes of society, but it needs to be genuinely important to you. It needs to be something you would do even if no one were watching, even if you received no recognition. When you have this kind of purpose, you develop a natural gravity that draws people into your orbit. But here's the crucial point. Your purpose can never be getting women. The moment women become your main purpose, you lose all power of attraction. You become a satellite orbiting around them instead of being the sun with its own gravity. Women want to join the journey of a man with direction, not be the sole reason the journey exists. When you have a clear purpose, all other areas of your life align. You make better decisions because you have clear criteria. You waste less time because you know what's important. You develop natural discipline because you're motivated by something internal, not by external pressure. And all of this creates a man who is naturally attractive without trying to be. Now I'm going to connect all these elements into one fundamental truth that will change your perspective forever. Real attraction doesn't happen when you do something to get a woman. It happens when you become the type of man women naturally want to win over. When you flip the script. When you stop being the pursuer and become the prize. This isn't about arrogance or thinking you're superior. It's about recognizing your own worth and living in alignment with it. It's about setting standards for yourself and for the people you allow into your life. It's about knowing that you have something valuable to offer and not being afraid to be selective about who you share that with. Think about the implications of this. When you are the prize, you don't need to impress anyone. People need to impress you. When you are the prize, you don't accept just any behavior. You have standards and you uphold them. When you are the prize, you don't chase. You attract and select from those who are drawn to you. But becoming the prize isn't about an inflated ego. It's about real development. It's about building a life you're proud of. It's about developing skills, knowledge, experiences that enrich who you are. It's about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, not to impress others, but because you respect yourself too much to settle for less. I want you to understand something fundamental. Everything I've shared here isn't techniques to use on women. They are principles to incorporate into your life. When you try to use this as a technique, as manipulation, it doesn't work. People sense falseness. But when you genuinely incorporate these principles, when they become part of who you are, the transformation is real and permanent. The journey to become this man isn't easy. It requires courage to face your own limitations. It requires discipline to change ingrained habits. It requires patience to allow the transformation to happen in its own time. But I can guarantee it's worth it. Because in the end, you not only become more attractive to women, you become more satisfied with your own life. If you've made it this far, if you felt something stir within you, if you recognize truths you've always known but never had the words to express, then you're ready for change. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. The transformation begins the moment you decide you deserve more than you've accepted, the moment you choose greatness instead of mediocrity. Hit that like button if this content resonated with you in any way. Share in the comments which insight was most powerful for you. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what I share here are truths few have the courage to speak. And remember, the only person who can change your life is you. The choice is yours. It always has been.